So since I started my DIY investing journey, do-it-yourself investing, I have always been a native user of the Trade platform. And over the years, I have been very pleased with their service. Overall, I've very much fallen in love with the product. I've been a big advocate of it here on the channel. But earlier this year, I got the chance to try out the Wealthsimple Trade platform. And if you're not following along with our portfolio building series, we're building a portfolio live for you guys to follow along with. And I got a first-hand look and got to actually experience the platform, got to test it out, find out the kinks, find out if it's one for me or not. And especially with all of the new features that they have been rolling out in terms of the fractional trading, obviously we know zero commissions, the desktop platform, the big backing that they've seen recently from influencers, and of course Power Corp, their parent company. It got me wondering whether Wealthsimple is now the best platform available in Canada. Because if you did catch my previous videos, I was pretty adamant about saying that I put Trade here, and this would be Trade, TD Direct Investing, etc. And although Wealthsimple Trade did have zero commissions, a very attractive feature, it lacked so many other features that it didn't make up for me in the difference, right? There was still that difference. Well, today I want to talk about the new features with Wealthsimple. I want to talk about the progressions they've made and talk about whether it is now the best platform for Canadians and more or less whether it's the right platform for you. What's up, you guys, and welcome back to the video. If you are new to the channel here, my name is Brandon. As always, we do offer courses and training in the stock market. If you're here in Canada and need some additional help, we offer that through our Investing Academy, which is that first link down in the description below. But today I want to do a full updated review as of today's date. I'll pop that up on the screen. There's always new stuff coming out, but this will be my most recent update on the Wealthsimple Trade platform. We're going to talk about the pros, we're going to talk about the cons, and we're going to talk about whether it is the right platform for you. Because as a little sneak peek, I do believe that this platform has some serious viability depending on how you plan to invest. And we're going to get into that in just a moment. If you enjoyed, give this video a thumbs up, by the way, if you learn anything new. But let's start with an overview of the platform for those not familiar, because Wealthsimple Trade is, of course, a division of the bigger Wealthsimple umbrella. So don't get that confused. When you go to the App Store and you see Wealthsimple and then Wealthsimple Trade, these are actually two completely different services. Wealthsimple is, of course, their robo-advisor service where you hand off your money to an algorithm and the team over there, and they'll help you essentially build a portfolio and you pay them a fee for that. But Wealthsimple Trade is the DIY, the do-it-yourself, commission-free trading platform that has really taken off in a very, very massive way over the past year since the pandemic. They now have over 1.5 million users and growing for a very, very good reason. For a very brief background, in 2019, this company, Wealthsimple, was bought out, or a major stake taken over by the company Power Financial. This company is now known as Power Corp. And this is FYI, one of our favorite dividend stocks that we follow in the Canadian market. That's a topic for another video. But earlier this year, they received some serious backing, $750 million in a round of funding from some very high profile influencers. You guys already know the story, but they have been receiving some very strong financial backing. And better than just getting the backing, Wealthsimple has actually shown the initiative to roll that back into the platform and continuously improve to where now I'd say I'm actually quite happy with where the platform is at, and I'm excited for where things are going forward. Wealthsimple Trade, their of course claim to fame for anybody brand new to the platform is that they were the first commission-free trading platform in Canada. That's probably what drew you in to this company when you saw their ads or their marketing. You can see by this table that it is truly a commission-free, and for the most part, a fee-free platform. You have no commission fees, you have no account opening fees, no account closing fees, no transfer fees or withdrawals or deposits. There's no inactivity fee. It truly is a commission-free platform other than this currency conversion fee, which we will talk about a little bit later in the video. Now, I say here this was the first commission-free platform in Canada because if you've been following with the news this week, literally this week as of filming this video, major announcement that the National Bank brokerage or their brokerage division, they announced that they'll be slashing their commissions down to zero. And we saw this happen in the States a year or so back. We saw the big brokerages all decide to cut down and eliminate their trading commissions. We wondered if the Canadian banks would follow suit. And it looks like now we may have. Well, we have. And it's a very, very bold and very, very brave move by National Bank to be the first major institution, financial institution bank to do this. They're going to take a big revenue hit, absolutely. But will this drive the other banks, TD Direct Investing, RBC Direct, Scotia iTrade, CIBC Investors Edge, etc., will they follow suit and eliminate their trading commissions? That's yet to be known. But if it does, or if they do, that is going to put some serious pressure, and it's going to be a pretty pivotal point for the Wealthsimple Trade brand, because their competitive edge there, one of the things that makes them very unique and different, that will then, it'll be a much more even playing field. And again, I don't want to speculate on what's going to happen because we don't know that quite yet, but it is a very interesting progression. And for Canadians, I think it's just a great thing that these other banks are following suit. But nevertheless, I want to talk today about Wealthsimple Trade and talk about what other features are unique to them. And even with an even playing field with commissions, zero commission trading, does Wealthsimple Trade still make sense? And I think as of right now, the answer is yes. So another major progression to Wealthsimple Trade, which is so unique, in fact, one of, if only two platforms in Canada, they do now allow fractional trading. And this is huge. I have heard in the comment section below from you guys, the viewers, that say Interactive Brokers does as well. That's not a platform that I actually trade on or have experience on. So if you have experience, you can let us know in the comment section below. But as of right now, one of the major selling points with Wealthsimple Trade is their fractional trading. Meaning that if you want to go out and buy a share of, for example, Amazon, which trades at a very, very high share price from a dollar perspective, which can be very, very tough for certain investors, especially new ones, to get a hold of, going out and buying a whole share. You can essentially buy fractions of this company as low as $1 on a number of different stocks. Again, this is a feature that has already been rolled out in the States and is quite popular amongst new investors. But here in Canada, Wealthsimple has really pushed forward to making a change and really kind of setting the tone for the Canadian market. So an amazing feature that definitely sets it aside. We're going to talk about a downfall in a moment with the fractional trading and the number of shares that they have, but we'll save that for the second half of this video when we go into more or less the cons or things that need to improve. I also did a video, by the way, on fractional trading as this was announced. If you do want to learn more about it, how it works, what's really going on behind the scenes of fractional trading, you can go ahead and click the video up at the top and it'll send you over there. Another notable advancement in the Wealthsimple Trade platform was that they did, of course, roll out their desktop platform. Now, for those of you that didn't know, if you're new to the stock market and haven't been following this for the past couple of years, when Wealthsimple Trade launched, it was an app-only platform. You could only trade and only set up your accounts all through your phone. The customers spoke out. They said they wanted a desktop or a computer-styled platform, and Wealthsimple absolutely listened. What you're looking at on the screen is just my page here. I'll go through a couple of screenshots, and actually later, if you do want to stick around, I can give you a brief tour of how the platform works at the end of the video. But very simply, you can go ahead and click log in, go click trade and crypto, and you can go access your portfolio and do pretty much whatever you need. You can search up stock quotes, you can create a watch list, you can buy and sell stocks, monitor your holdings, the whole 9 yards. But that is a new feature, which, other platforms allow that, but for Wealthsimple, it's a major step up that has occurred over the past year and a half. Now, on the topic of crypto, for many investors out there who do want to dabble in this market, one thing unique to the Wealthsimple umbrella is that they do offer a division titled Wealthsimple Crypto. They do allow you to buy cryptocurrency on the platform. Now, this is not a market that I care for, nor do I have much of an opinion on it. If I was going to be buying crypto, I probably wouldn't buy it on Wealthsimple. That's just my personal opinion. But nevertheless, there are a lot of people, especially the younger demographic, I've noticed. Actually, a lot of people, even older people talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum, but definitely the younger demographic who are very interested in crypto and they want to get their hands on a piece of that pie. And it's a very good feature that, again, Wealthsimple listened to the consumers. They heard out the needs of the marketplace, and they did allow Wealthsimple Crypto onto the platform. Another notable feature that was very recently rolled out again was their Wealthsimple Trade premium feature, where for $3 a month, you get all of the free features like everybody else, but you do get access to snap quotes, or what we would just call real-time quotes. Instead of it being, a few minutes delayed, typically quotes are about 15 minutes delayed in the world of finance, in the world of these brokerages, unless you pay for it, and you have instant deposits up to $1,000. So typically when you do want to transfer money, you obviously link up your bank account into your Wealthsimple app, and pretty much across the board, whether you're with Questrade or RBC or whatever it is in the finance world, it does take a couple business days for that transfer to come through. Well, with these instant deposits, they've got that set up where you can instantly deposit up to a set amount. Again, with the $3 feature, that does get bumped up to $1,000. I have not personally tried this, nor do I care for it, just based on the way I invest. But again, it is a new feature that I think is worth mentioning. And what I want to really speak about on the positive side of Wealthsimple Trade and all of these new additions and features that have been rolled out, whether we're talking about crypto, whether we're talking about, fractional trading or instant deposits, whatever it is, Wealthsimple is doing a phenomenal job of giving the marketplace and giving the customers what they're asking for. And this is very, very rare in the investing world and the financial institution world for a broker to actually listen to the needs of their customers and actually make changes. And trust me on that. You can come across platforms who haven't updated their stuff in years, and they make so much money on the back end, yet they don't want to invest in a new, interface or a new whatever it is. Prior to working here on YouTube and starting our investing academy, I actually worked for Manulife. I was licensed with Manulife as an investment advisor, and from the day I started investing, quarter after quarter, they promised that they were going to have a new app, a new interface. It was going to be user-friendly, and we get complaints from clients all the time that it was so, outdated. Well, nothing really happened. And again, I think that's quite normal. But with Wealthsimple, it's a very, very different story. In a very, very short period of time, they've launched out a number of these new features and new tools. They clearly are in tune with what the market is asking for. And I think that's actually very, very huge. One other thing that does stick out to me as well, as a consumer, as a business owner myself, and somebody who does try to keep up with these things, whether this is applicable to you or not, is that I think Wealthsimple, from a marketing side of things and from their, branding side and the way that they're approaching the market, I think that they are very, very, very in tune with the modern day. And you know this from the app, how simple it is. Again, I'll give you a tour later of how intuitive and really simple the platform is. Very beautiful, very well designed. But even from their marketing campaigns and how they've decided to outreach and bring on new people into their platform, the strategy of targeting social influencers, which if you're a YouTube user, you've probably seen many of these, ads targeting YouTube, using YouTuber influencers, like that is so in line with what the company is striving for. And I think from a deeper level, what that shows you is that this company is very focused. They have their target market, they have their target audience. Their marketing message is very, very good. Granted, a couple years back, if you've seen those old Wealthsimple commercials, oh my God.
So what can you tell me about investments?
What can I tell you? Yeah. I was hoping it would be the other way around.
I just don't like talking about money that much. It's kind of boring.
Money was something that
They've gotten a lot better. In fact, I'd go as far as saying I actually like some of their ads now. Some of them are quite good. But in the big picture of things, what that tells me is this company has a direction, they have a focus, and they're clearly making progress towards that. So if you fall into this demographic, if you fall into this customer base, you're kind of in your sweet spot here. And I think that's just worth mentioning with Wealthsimple, a very, very big positive. Let's move on to things that I do think need to improve, because as I touched on at the top, a year or two ago, I put Wealthsimple here and I put, Questrade and the other brokers here, even though you're paying more for fees. It is working up, but there is still room to move. And you can make the judgment whether these are features that matter to you or not, but there are things that I think are worth mentioning. For one, I think a downfall at the moment with Wealthsimple Trade is that they do need access to more securities to be a fully competitive and a fully legitimate platform on the same level as the others. For example, on the screen you're looking at, if you do want to go ahead and buy, let's say Disney stock, right? Disney stock is a stock that many people for many reasons would like. for themselves, for their children, whatever it is. It's a phenomenal stock to own, in my opinion. And if you were to search that, it does say here unavailable to trade on Wealthsimple Trade. That is one of the stocks that is a glaring one to me, that is such a common, such a sought after stock that is just not available on the platform. And there is a small list of companies that, have of this tier that are not available to invest. Will that be the case going forward? I'm sure it will, but as of right now, it's not. Another example is that if you are an investor that does tend to trade, let's say over-the-counter stocks, or you want to purchase a stock that trades on a unique exchange. So over-the-counter exchanges are a very different type of exchange than the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ. They're not one of these big, major, established, and credible exchanges. Many stocks that trade, in fact, all stocks that trade over the counter are not available on Wealthsimple Trade. And let's assume you wanted to go out and buy an international company. Let's assume you wanted to go buy a stock on the Hong Kong exchange or on the European or on the DAX or whatever the case is. You are limited to the amount of selections you have. And I do think that is, again, is it the be all end all? No. But for some people that do want to get very, very deep in their stock market journeys and they want to expand over all parts of the globe, it is something to consider. In terms of the fractional trades, which again is a new feature, and I'm talking very, very new, even in that recent video that I did recently, there was just a select number. I think it was 9 or 11 stocks that they had available to do fractional trading on. Well, as of an update, fast forward about a month later, they've already expanded this list. So I'll scroll through this for you guys to see. You have your selection of Canada, you have a much bigger selection of US. We'll talk about why in a moment, but nevertheless, improvements and constant evolutions. And you'll probably see a lot of companies on there that you'd be very interested in buying. So overall, I gotta say, very fast, the speed that they are expanding their stocks that are eligible for fractional trading. But again, not every stock is on the market is eligible for fractional trading. Secondly, I think a very important feature that should be added with some time, but is not currently available, is allowing investors to set up a DRIP or a dividend reinvestment plan, dividend reinvestment program, which essentially means when you receive a dividend, you can just automatically flow those back into those shares and you can constantly just redeploy your dividends, kind of like a flywheel or a cycle. And for many investors that take a dividend approach, this is a very, very sought after strategy. And again, as of right now, it says here, dividend reinvestment programs are not currently supported on Wealthsimple Trade. Seeing how fast they are advancing their other features, I do expect this to happen with time, but again, just something to consider if that was a plan of yours. Currently, number 3 is that they do not support options trading, and I'm gonna tie in here mutual funds, even though they're two completely different ball games. But of course, certain investors, as they progress through their journey, or some people just right off the bat want to start kind of getting into some more deeper areas of the stock market, such as options trading. And is this necessary for 90% of investors out there? Absolutely not. Many investors can go on their entire journeys for years and years and years and decades without ever touching options, but definitely there are a big number of people out there that do want that feature. As of right now, and I'm actually not sure what the plans are going forward, but options trading is off the board. And if you did want to, down the road, get into those types of trading strategies and use those types of trading vehicles, you would have to consider another platform that just offers that and it has more features when it comes to that realm. Mutual funds as well. Honestly, I don't really know who would be buying mutual funds by choice these days, unless you're a little bit uneducated. But where I do see mutual funds on the platform being useful is, let's assume you currently work with an advisor, right? Let's assume you have your money with the bank and you're making the shift to Wealthsimple. There could be small cases where you would like to move your portfolio in kind, meaning transfer your portfolio just as it is, right? There's 2 ways to transfer your portfolio. You can do an in-cash transfer. Well, there's technically 3 ways, but you can do an in-cash transfer and basically just transfer that in cash. You can also do a transfer in kind. And there would be cases where, let's assume you don't want to sell your mutual fund for whatever reason. Maybe it's down, maybe you want to let it recover, or maybe you just want to keep holding it. If this platform allowed mutual funds, it may be nice in some cases to make that transfer together. Again, I think that's a very, very small percentage of people, so it's not an issue for me, but it is, I think, just something worth mentioning. Number 4, which I think is a little more serious, again, depending on who you are, but it's the account types that Wealthsimple Trade offers currently. And right now they offer 3 accounts, which is a personal account. So this would be your taxable account, very common, call it a quote unquote investing account. You have your tax-free savings account, which is a tax sheltered account. And you have your RRSP, which is a tax deferral account, also a tax sheltered vehicle. 3 very, very popular accounts, which for many people out there just starting out would be more than they would ever need. But for an investor like myself, and maybe somebody that does have, a little more needs when it comes to account types, I would love to see something like a corporate account or a business account where you can set up, your corporation with its own entity, trade within there. As of right now, they don't offer that on Wealthsimple Trade. Maybe you want to set up an RESP for your child if you're an older viewer watching this. Maybe you have a Lira or some other account that needs to be transferred in. Right now, you are subject to just those 3. If you went to, for example, the bigger brokerages and you paid the $5, $10 commission, you do have access to all of that. So again, it's just a trade-off, and it really depends, as I've said a million times already, it depends on what your needs are. 5th, and the final thing that I want to talk about here, which I think is a consideration, is the ability to hold US dollars on the platform. And I should say, in this case, the lack of that ability, if you know what I mean. And I've talked about this before. So if I were to pop up this table, which we already have taken a look at the top of this video, which talks about zero everything, zero fees, zero this, there is this one part, which I did promise I'd come back to a bit later, which is their conversion fee, which is a conversion fee of 1.5%. Corporate rate times 1.5%. Most brokerages charge around 2, which is actually quite true. So you actually are getting a lower conversion fee than a lot of brokerages. Very common to see that exchange around 2. And where does this come in for our new investors out there? Well, let's assume that you deposit money into your account. Those dollars, whether it's 10,000, whether it's 100,000, whether it's $100, those dollars do come into your account as Canadian dollars. This is a Canadian dollar account. Now, if you plan to invest in companies like an Amazon or like an Apple or Tesla or whatever it is, companies that are traded over in the US market, aka traded in US dollars, you do have to convert your dollars to purchase that stock. You can't just take Canadian dollars and buy those stocks. They're denominated and they trade in US dollars. So when you go to purchase one of those stocks, you're going to be hit with a 1.5% conversion fee to essentially convert your money into US. You can buy those stocks, and that's actually quite normal. Again, most brokerages charge 2%, so that's all good. But you also do get hit on the back end of that trade. So when you sell, let's assume you now own 100 shares of Apple or 100 shares of Amazon. 100 shares of Amazon, let's just say, if you got that much money. Well, when you go to sell that stock, essentially you're selling that stock. The sale would generate you a bunch of US dollars, and then you would go ahead and exchange. You don't do this, this happens all automatically, but you would exchange that back to Canadian dollars, where you'd be hit with another 1.5% fee. So all around on your US trading transactions, you are looking at 3%. And is that the end of the world? I would say absolutely not. I think very much the conversion fee is a cost of doing business. If you want to go out and buy a US stock and you're going to get a phenomenal return, what's 3% if you are going to be buying some great investments for the long term? That's just my personal opinion. But where that differs from a platform like Questrade, for example, again, what I've become accustomed to and what I use is that when you buy a US stock on Questrade, you do pay the conversion fee as well. But when you sell those Amazon shares or you sell those Apple shares, you can actually retain those US dollars, those dollars in US dollars. So if you want to go buy another US stock, you don't have to pay another conversion fee. You can go out and essentially redeploy those US dollars as you please. I think the question that you need to kind of ask yourself as the investor is, well, first of all, how much US trading do I plan to do? Am I going to be very heavily involved in the US markets? I'm going to buy a lot of US stocks, or do I want to keep it Canadian focused? And if the answer is yes, and you do really care about that conversion fee, you don't want to pay the 3% in and out, you could absolutely consider just paying a higher commission with another platform or opening up a US traded or a US dollar account. Those are all options, but just notable, Wealthsimple Trade is a Canadian only platform. Now, let's kind of piece this together and summarize, my thoughts, because I've talked about some pros, some new additions. I've also talked about some notable cons. And when I do a brokerage review, I actually like to talk more about the cons because, the pros are very easy to boast about. You see them on the marketing headlines anywhere. They're going to pump them all over their ads and whatnot. So we all know about that, but it is important to factor in the cons. So what I think you need to ask yourself if you're deciding whether this is the right platform to you is, what type of investor do you plan to be? and whether those cons that we talked about are going to impact you or not. 1 or 2 years ago, if you would have asked me, well, I can do my commission-free trading, but I only have access to a personal account. If you recall, they didn't have TFSAs, they didn't have RSPs, they didn't have a desktop feature, they didn't have fractional trading. I would have said, is that zero commission worth it versus paying a $5 commission with Questrade and having all these additional features? To me, the answer was no. Today, for the right type of investor, I actually do put this on an even playing field. Now, again, I say for the right type of investor. Do you plan to trade options in the future? Do you want to get really deep into the tools that you use? And do you plan to be a very, do you want to be an investor that really puts the focus on international stocks? And are you going to be going and buying stocks on the European exchange or the Chinese exchange or the Japanese exchange? Well, if so, that would bump Wealthsimple Trade back down. If you are somebody that wants to keep things simple and you're maybe a new investor and you just say, hey, I don't have the need for that, I don't have the want for that, I just want to grow my money in a responsible way. I know investing's good, I've heard it's good, I want to try, dabble my feet, dip the toes a little bit and just, buy Canadian stocks, maybe some US selections here and there. Well, then absolutely, I think that this is actually, in that sense, a very comparable platform to the others. Especially if you are starting off with lower amounts of money. So let's assume you had, $100 or $1,000 to invest. It does sway you more towards starting with Wealthsimple Trade. And why does that matter? Well, quite simply, if someone came to me, like let's say we had a student come into our program, which is again what we do. You can check us out down below if you want to learn more about the stock market. But let's assume a student came to me with $100,000 and they said, I want to build my portfolio. Where should I go? If they went somewhere to Questrade or TD Direct Investing, those $5 to $10 commissions are a little less meaningless when your when your portfolio size is so big. You can quite easily build a diversified portfolio and, buy, 10 or 15 different holdings because you're working with a bigger amount of money. And again, the more money you invest, the smaller and smaller that commission is as a percentage of your total trade. If you said, well, I only have $100 to invest, I just turned 18, I just want to open up a TFSA, well, then if you're going to pay a $5 or $10 commission, that's a huge portion of your trade. And that's where Wealthsimple Trade really, really excels. Not to mention, now that you have the idea of fractional trading, where you can literally take $1 or $5 and get exposure to companies like Amazon or like Apple or like Microsoft, whatever companies you wouldn't typically be able to buy with just $100. It's a very, very attractive feature for that demographic. And again, to tie it all back together, as I talked about, even if you look at their marketing campaigns, if you look at who they're targeting, even if you look at their name, it's Wealthsimple. They're keeping things simple. They're targeting a demographic of people that want to invest, but maybe they don't want to get crazy in depth. And I think they're doing a phenomenal job at that. And if that's you, again, to summarize, I do actually put them on a very similar level for that type of investor. A beginner, someone wanting to dip their toes, maybe not even a beginner, maybe someone that is more intermediate, absolutely, but they just decide for themselves, hey, I want to keep the cost low. I'm going to keep a very simple strategy. I'm going to just, take a Canadian approach with some US stocks. I don't really have a need for buying the overseas markets. Absolutely, I'd say this is good. One thing that I would love to see is those drips being allowed. That'd be a major addition and a major feature that I think would be rolled out with time. But overall, I think that can kind of give you guys my updated view on the Wealthsimple Trade platform. And again, I'm filming this video as of August 29th. So things do constantly evolve and things do constantly change. It'll be very, very interesting to see how the other banks proceed with their commissions and whether they opt to cut them down. Because then again, if a TD Direct Investing, which in my opinion, I actually invest on TD Direct Investing as well, if they drop that commission down to $0, that is still a more in-depth platform. You get a lot more tools and a lot more credibility and access behind a platform like that. So if they write their commissions down, it's going to put a bit of a struggle on Wealthsimple. But again, maybe they just do such a good job of marketing and targeting their demographic, which tends to be millennials and whatever generation is below millennials. But yeah, very, very fair. I do believe, actually, if you did enjoy today's video, first of all, give it a thumbs up. And I do have a promotion code. If you enjoyed the content, you want to support me, there is a code down below this video. I'm not entirely sure what the sign up bonus is, but I think they're going to juice it up. Either $50 for signing up, $75 for signing up, maybe even more. I'll put it all in the description below. You might even get a free stock when you sign up, but I'll kind of figure that out after this video. But I did just want to just share with you guys what my opinion is. Final takeaway is that if you decide to go with Wealthsimple Trade, I would absolutely tick that off as a great choice. 2 years ago, maybe a bit of a different story, and I would have still linked you towards Questrade. But for anybody that is a new investor, for anybody that is considering a platform change, I would be very comfortable investing on Wealthsimple Trade going forward, especially seeing how committed they are to making changes and really making a push to be, it seems like, the DIY platform for younger people and just for anybody out there with wanting to minimize fees. Before I finish up, let me give you guys just a brief tour, an overview if you're someone who hasn't seen the platform yet or they want to see my opinion and my take on it. I won't take too long here, but of course on wealthsimple.com, what you're going to do is you're going to hit login. You're going to go ahead and put in your appropriate email address and password. This is the screen that you'll be taken to, and as I mentioned, there are different divisions of Wealthsimple. This is their robo-advisor service, the Wealthsimple Invest feature. We're going to go ahead and click Wealthsimple Trade. It's just a bit of a directory, which will take you into the appropriate spot. This, what you're looking at is, of course, our portfolio for our portfolio challenge. As I mentioned at the top, we're building a portfolio live for you guys to follow along with if you want to go check out that series. But you have a nice big visualization of your portfolio. You got your watch list down here on the side. I actually just use Yahoo Finance for my watch list because I check it on my phone app. But hey, many people will like this. You have a crypto watch list, which again, I haven't even touched actually because that's not an area that I care about. If you pop into my personal account, so yours here may say TFSA, it may say RRSP, depends on what you go for, but I have a personal account in this case. You get a very, very nice chart, and you can obviously toggle by time frames. You can go to the all, you can see how it's doing on a 1 day basis. Of course, the markets are closed today. I'm filming this on a weekend, but here's a look at our portfolio. And again, this is just one of our many portfolios, but we're targeting a Canadian dividend or an income portfolio, more of a balanced one. You'll see some fixed income holdings as well. But yeah, quite intuitive and quite simple. You'll see on the right you have available cash to trade. We got about $4,600, $4,700 available in cash to trade. If you click onto a ticker, you're going to notice here the quote. You're going to notice up here that this is available for fractional trading. If you didn't see that last video of mine, if you see this little pie chart, that does mean that you can buy fractional trades with this stock. Scroll down, we own 17 shares for a total value of $1,000. All time, it's up $96 or 9% since we started this challenge. A bunch of additional information here about the company, and you have a very, very nice and simple order entry over to the right. So if we wanted to buy or sell shares, we can toggle between the two. We can toggle between market buys. Again, we do have access to fractional buy because we see this little pie chart. You can do a limit buy, you can do a stop limit buy. That's mostly up to your preference as to how you choose, but typically we would just go with a market buy to keep it simple. We can add in the number of shares, and one thing that I think is very, very attractive with this feature is, for example, as you go live, it'll give you basically an up-to-date estimation of how much this is going to cost you. So if we want to buy 500 shares, today's price trading at $64.95 Canadian, this would be an estimated cost of $32,000. If I'm like, whoa, that's way too much money, maybe we go ahead and buy 5 shares, and that's going to cost us $324. You can then go ahead and click buy, and you're going to be brought over to a little review page. As you can see, just to point out, data is delayed by 15 minutes. So if you wanted to get rid of that feature, if that's very important to you, if you're very timely with your purchases, you want to be very, very up to speed, you can do that additional premium feature. Again, nothing that I really care for. But if you do go to activity, what you'll see is basically all the dividends coming in. We have a dividend from Clorox for $11. We have the MUB dividend, the Q-tip dividend, Campbell's Soup, we purchased $1,000 of. We bought some RBC or Royal Bank for $2,000. We got a deposit in for $1,000. So very, very simple and straightforward platform. Is this website and web platform the most intuitive? It's very intuitive. It's very simple to use, but it's not the most in-depth. And again, that's where you got to ask yourself, what type of investor do you plan to be? Do you want the tools? Do you want everything going on? That's totally up to you. But again, guys, I want to thank you all for watching today's video. If you enjoyed, please take a moment and give it a big thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, we post videos like this every single week, myself and Mark, my father. Again, if you do want to get some sign up bonus with Wealthsimple Trade, if you decide this is a platform for you, click the link down in the description below. And as always, we do have our Investing Academy. If you're looking for training, if you're new to the stock market and you want to know how to build your portfolio properly, learn all this properly, we teach our students both on Questrade and Wealthsimple. Now that, again, I believe it is a viable platform, but you can learn about that all in the description below. As always, I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.